gente linda, and welcome to PanaVizión, the Todo Soflo podcast that brings you all local stories, news, and music with your thriving and alive hosts, Anette y Clari, the co-founders of Panamia Club.
Yes, thanks, Annette. Panamia Club is a collective that's
welcome.
supporting local creatives and entrepreneurs as easy as crying during this past super blue moon, super
In
full
Pisces.
moon in Pisces, no less.
Yeah.
So every episode we're going to bring you a locally based band to discuss what they're doing in their community, and then we'll also highlight a new artist that is working on some creative stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, and today we will be speaking with Sunai to talk about their experience creating, editing, and producing Miami's new alternative food magazine, Undrbelly.
And then later, we're going to chat with your friend and my friend also, Sefania of Maroon Isles Production, about their experience with the local theater scene and their upcoming events. You recently went to one of their shows, right?
Yes, I saw Jealousy at Thank You Miami. It was an immersive dinner experience, and for me, it was like honestly one of the most unique and really cool experiences in Miami. I've never been to something like that, and it was awesome. It was like I was watching a telenovela set in Miami. It was really really cool.
That sounds really interesting.
And we'll talk more about it with him later.
All right, so do you want to get into the panas? Do you want to tell us about the new panas?
Yes, of course. So we are starting with the creatives. So there's a lot because, you know, a lot of people have been joining the directory. First up, we have Kat, aka at Sunflare3es_. So she was actually one of the actresses at this event that I'm telling you about in Jealousy. So she is an actress that is a part of our guest's theater company, and we have two more after that. So we have Giovanni Marin. For me, he was kind of like one of the main characters, and also a tremendous actor. After that, we have Mel Toi. So he is a proyector musical. Más expresiones visuales.
Yes, we actually got a chance to see them live.
Yeah.
2 Saturdays ago. They performed with Spanglish City and also Máquina del Flow. So it was an all pana concert.
All pana concert. And it was honestly, I loved the music.
Yeah, it was great.
I went up after the show and I told him that, and he signed up to become a pana right after. True story. Then we have Rec One, so a Cuban graffiti artist. We have Public Energy or Duality. So they are actually a friend of Miami Community Radio and a resident. I lost my place. A visual label to help visual artists roll out and brand their projects to have broader reach. Then we have Zethos, a Miramar-based musical artist. Lisandra, a local tattoo artist focused on nostalgic designs. Mel de Miami, a creative director, interdisciplinary artist, and native Miamian. That's what's up. Then we have Buko Boys, a Filipino band, which I'm pretty excited about. I love them.
Yeah, they're so cute.
I love them. I can't wait to hear more of their music. We have Matthew Stember, or it's Matt Stem Photography, a local photographer. We have Torna Love, Ecuadorian musician, and that's it for creatives.
Awesome. We also have a couple of really interesting organizations sign up. So first off is finally Comedor Azul. Yes, love them. If you haven't gotten a chance to go to their events, they're really, really sweet. They reintroduce traditional foods through decolonization of recipes and the sharing of these meals. So we actually got a chance to go to one of their events, and it's really cool. They bring out, what do they have? Blue corn tortillas.
They had blue corn tortillas. They had like a guisado.
Ceviche.
Oh my gosh, an Ecuadorian ceviche que te mueras.
So
like,
good.
So good. Actually, we had a conversation with Sunai there during that event, which was incredible.
Yes. We also have Achiever City. They're an independent record label and traveling studio for all your record needs. So like they also focus on up and coming local Latino musicians. So then we also have Miami Film Lab. They're super cool. They put on a monthly film festival, like film screening for all local film, people in the film industry. They're a nonprofit production company supporting local filmmakers. And then lastly, we have Find the Click. So I actually found these people over at Tripping Animals.
Love that.
Yep. And they host events that invite you to connect with your creativity and your art. So they have community art supplies and whatnot, and you can go and be creative.
I love that. I love that. It's genuinely like really cool to see organizations like that just kind of randomly distributed around Miami. Like you're going to a brewery to hang out, and then now you also have the opportunity to like create while you're there.
Yes.
So next up, we have a couple of small businesses. We have Josh's Pizza, freshly made artisanal pizza. Yum.
Delicious.
And we have Luna Skincare Studio, holistic skincare studio that uses all clean and non-toxic ingredients. You know what? I might need to update my skincare regimen. So
You got too much sun?
too much? No, not enough sun. I want more sun. I'm talking about, I don't know, like you get stressed and then you have like little pepitas on your face and you need to like exfoliate.
Hydration. Hydration. That's all.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to mapas. So these are businesses that have physical locations. We're always looking for venues, restaurants, those types of places that can host events and whatnot. So I'm really excited about this. We have Lost City Brewery.
Yeah.
They're over in North Miami, a local brewery.
A local Hispanic-owned brewery.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Definitely check them out.
Yeah, they're super great. They have a couple of great drinks. We also have Nurture Miami. They're a cooperative style flex space available to artists and wellness practitioners of all kinds for rent. So, and then we also have Mellow Grapes, which is a fine wine and craft beer bar serving homemade bites and incredible desserts.
Yes.
And we're actually going to go check them out this week on Wednesday.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to
now we
go
have
to the wine tasting.
Taking your mom there.
Yeah. It's going to be my mom's birthday, and I'm going to take her to the wine tasting at Mellow Grapes and Kendall. I think it will be good. I think she'll enjoy it.
Yeah, they look really sweet.
Yeah.
So anyway, and that puts us at 370 members.
Yay.
So thank you so much to everyone who has joined. It's really exciting to see our community grow. But we want to catch them all. So if you are a small business owner,
Catch them all.
Yep, a creative in Broward, anywhere in South Florida, please DM us and join our community. It's free to join. All you gotta do is fill out a form. And also thanks to our sponsor, Rogue Apothecary, for supporting us on this podcast. They are helping us teleprompt. So kisses.
Yes. So it's important to stay educated about what's going on with our panas, of course, and our local community. Luckily, Clari and I are here to catch you up on lo que está pasando in South Florida in our segment, Meanwhile in SoFlo. So Rogue Apothecary, our sponsor, presents 420 in the fall, and it starts promptly at 4:20 p.m. on September 16th, so not 420, September 16th at 4:20 at Lauder Ale. So I don't know if y'all have ever been there, but it is a nice little brewery like right next to the Fort Lauderdale airport, and it's locally owned. So really cool spot. There'll be 2 rolling sessions and an Artie Toke workshop, which if you guys aren't aware of Artie Toke, I've actually taught Artie Toke a couple of times, but it's basically an art session where you can hang out and then, you know, smoke a little bit and then also just like create art and have a good time.
Yeah, so I have 2 events for you happening tonight. All right, the first one tonight, starting with the first one at 7 p.m., so right after this podcast. There's an event called Women in Flux hosted by the Miami Art Society. So it's going to be a night of performance art and an exploration of the creative narratives that women bring to the forefront. That sounds super cool.
So cool.
And we're going to go there. And then afterwards, ding, 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 Corruption MIA is hosting an event, and one of our new panas and long-term friend, SDRV, that's sitting over there checking audio. Yes, they're going to be DJing at this event. So definitely check it out. It starts at 11 p.m. So more for the night owls out there. Dress code is strictly enforced, but it's very, very fun. So definitely go out, show out. It'll be a good time.
Yes. And then our pana, cool news, our pana, Public Enemy, and Boombox are presenting Baltimore Banger, which is basically like sort of this mesh collab between Miami's finest and Baltimore's brightest to bring you the sounds of 410 and 305 under one roof.
Ooh.
So I really like the sound of that event. I think, honestly, it's going to be really
fun.
interesting.
That sounds fun.
Because it's like, you know, two completely different scenes that they're meshing together.
I love when that happens.
Oh, and it's going to happen, I almost forgot, September 23rd at Domicile, okay? So get those tickets.
Yes, and then lastly, tomorrow there's another event that SDRV is performing at. Oh, shall I say? So 3 Points and Club Space presents Andrew Music Club at Lot 11.
Nice.
So if you haven't been to that venue, it's a really cool space.
It's a skate park,
it's a
like
skate
under
the
underpass?
highway.
Yeah.
Under the highway. Yeah, super fun, great venue, and they're gonna be there from 4 to 11. So to cure your Sunday blues.
Absolutely. And then we have oh, by the way, yeah, like tomorrow, like on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday.
And which is even better because Monday is Labor Day.
Oh,
so
I didn't
you
even
can stay out
realize.
as
Yes.
late as y'all want is
No
is my
blues,
point.
Just happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in PanaVizión Club news, we so something really cool on October 7th, Serotonin Dippity is going to be one of the first events that we have ever sponsored, and it's actually the show of one of our former guests on the podcast, Folktale San Pedro. So Folktale San Pedro is having the show with a few other artists, like Pigeon Society is going to be there, Shiva is going to be there,
Viper Sounds
is going to be there, Mad Woman. I can't name everybody, but we are going to be doing something really cool for the very first time. We're going to have a PanaVizión pop-up. So what does that mean? That means that, you know, we are going to be the newscasters.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing them
after
their sets.
We're going to be interviewing after their sets. So we're going to be like the reporters at the end of the music sets and be like, how did it go for you on stage?
It went so good.
Yes. So, you know, professionals.
Definitely get your tickets October 7th.
Yes, say hi to us.
And then also, so we have exciting news. Our team here at PanaVizión Club is growing, and we love to see that. We love to receive help. We love to continue to grow. Annette and I can't do everything, so we just are so blessed. So,
especially web things.
Yeah, so we have 3 new web developers that are helping us with the website. So big shout out to Brian Torres, yes, Felix, and Michael.
Yes.
You know who you are. Thank you guys so very much. We had our first meeting with them yesterday. It went great. And so we hope to have like stuff to show you really soon. Very soon.
So like those of you that are asking us like, oh, when is the directory coming up? Much sooner now that we have 5 whole people working on it. So amazing. Yeah, we can't wait to see like the stuff that comes out of that. So then we have on September the 23rd,
24th, yeah.
September 24th on a Sunday, new show alert, El Igor y sus panas. So this is going to be a collaborative show with PanaVizión Club and El Igor. We are going to have 6 acts, including 2 DJs, as well as a short skit brought to you by Sefania of Maroon Isles Productions. If that name sounds familiar to you, is because we are going to be talking to Sefania right here on this episode a little bit later.
Yes.
And more details to come on Igor's birthday, which is September 6th, same day as my mom's birthday.
This Wednesday.
It's not pertinent, but I just wanted to say it.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yay. And El Igor.
And El Igor. We're also really excited because we have a broadcast channel on YouTube. So if you're wondering, where is it that this content lands? It's there.
Where does it go?
Where does it go once it gets recorded and it doesn't show up on Instagram? It's because it's on our YouTube.
Subscribe to our YouTube.
Subscribe to the YouTube. Also, it lands on Spotify. So in case for people who are
subscribe
out there,
to our Spotify.
Yeah. So while you're stuck in traffic, you can listen to us talk to cool, really cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you really like the sound of our voices and just want to listen to it all the time, there's content for you. There's platforms for you. So that was Meanwhile in SoFlo. If you know of any interesting news that you want us to bring up next time, please don't hesitate to DM us. And
yeah, that was good. Yeah, please send us your news next time. Or if not, we are literally just scrolling Instagram.
Yep. So now that we're all caught up with community things.
Now that we're all caught up, we're going to bring on our very exciting guest, Swan of Undrbelly.
Yay! Hello. Welcome, my love. up.
Welcome, welcome.
Oh my gosh, love your nails. So cool.
Right? So cool.
Yeah, you just DM them to.
Yeah. I just sent them the invite of, hey, do you want to join PanaVizión Club?
This is how we get so many panas.
Yeah.
We're just like, who are you using? Who do you go to?
Yeah. So that's a shout out to you. If you want to start sending us local profiles, we'll hit them up. Yeah. Also, I love your shirt. Can you look at this incredible shirt, incredible design.
Tamales in Shibari. I feel like it's a good representation of my brand.
No, I totally see it.
Food and art.
So cool. I actually wanted to ask you because you make a very kind of like I think the main description of Undrbelly is like for the alternative art scene. Digo, alternative food scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I brought it up because like usually when you think of alternative, you're like, oh, art or music, right. But you're talking about food. So what does alternative food mean?
Oh, great question. So for me, alternative food is food that you don't necessarily see in the mainstream too much. So it's maybe like you drive by a road and you pass by that restaurant like a million times, you never go in unless a blog talks about it. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what alternative food is, but also I'm going in an alternative perspective to the food because I feel like Miami food scene is very focused on reviews, but we don't really get to know the people who are cooking the food. So I'm also focusing on that alternative side of food culture here where we get to know the people who are actually making your food.
That's so cool. So it's not, food is not just like the end product. It's also the ingredients. It's the people that are working on it.
Exactly. It's not just your own perspective on how the food is. It's also like what was behind, the food and the thought process and, the people who like their journey to get to, putting food in your plate.
That's really interesting because we were just like talking about Comedor Azul. And it seems like you guys are kind of kindred spirits in the sense of like that Comedor Azul is an organization of artists that are trying to create experiences related to food. And their whole point is kind of what you're saying about like, let's explore the roots, the history, the cultural significance, the people that make the food, and kind of like make it a more holistic experience.
Yeah, and it's in a place that's not a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like we were literally like outside under a tree, a mango tree under lights, like sitting on the floor. Like that is an alternative space for that sort of thing to happen as well. So that's again like something that I like to explore is like other alternative ways that people are showing their food. So not just in like a restaurant format, but in art, in clothes, in anything that food can be expressed, poetry. That's why my magazine it's about food, but you're not going to only find recipes. You'll find paintings, poetry, articles. Like it's just a mix of so many different aspects of food.
I actually really liked the poem on pitaya.
Oh, yeah, that's my sister.
Nice. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Shout out my sister.
So I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, just a bit.
I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And for those of you who don't know Undrbelly or don't know you, how would you introduce yourselves?
Well, introducing the magazine, like you said, it is an alternative food magazine, so it's a digital magazine, which is great because it's never sold out. I'm not, wasting any kind of paper or anything like that. It's very accessible. You can take it wherever you go. You have your phone, you have the magazine there to keep you company. So the magazine is really just like a blank canvas for Miami locals to show their appreciation and their interpretation of Miami food culture in whatever shape or form that will be, whether that be your grandmother's recipe, whether that be a poem. So I really want to create that sort of space for anyone to want to convey that in a magazine space, regardless of their experience, regardless of how many followers they have, regardless of any experience they might have with the subject. Like I want to give them that sort of blank canvas to have something published. I think that's kind of cool. Like people don't really have that sort of opportunity, and I want it to be a very like open space for people.
Yes. Yeah.
And what about you?
Yeah. Oh, me. Well, my name's Swan. I'm a Miami local, so I've lived here all my life. I've always been very obsessed with food. I grew up with watching Food Network, and just connecting with people over food and being obsessed with food, obsessed with like reviewing food since I was like 12, like reviewing like Cece's Pizza, you know what I mean? Like it's just really silly stuff. Or like making little like food videos at home that like never went anywhere, you know? So I've always had fun interpreting food in different kind of ways, eating it, making it, drawing it. It's just like been a super big obsession. So outside of that, I mostly work on like making websites as well. So when you said you had a website, I was like, that's great because having a website is so important for your brand. But yeah, so that's been like mostly my experience. I guess I can talk about astrology too. Leo sun, Leo moon, Libra rising. I feel like that's important too. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I think the first time that I saw you as well was emceeing at Witches of Miami's event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
I do that too.
You do that too. Yeah. You do a lot.
I do a little bit of everything. Yeah, I'm a little bit
Shout out to
of
Witches, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. I saw their episode. They were here.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little emceeing.
And actually, that episode was when you became a pana, and they also shouted you out. They were like, "Our friend."
Yeah, so sweet. Yeah, they're really, really great. That space has been really cool too, because it's a femme queer community that I love to be around, and it's very inspiring. We like support each other. It's very community based, so they're really sweet.
It's so important, like when you're doing this work, to have that support.
You need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot do it without any support. How will you do it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like both of our businesses are very community based, so you have to depend on people.
Yeah.
And it's nice too because like I like the sort of like bordering and like trading off of things as well. Like, okay, like you can do the photography for me and then I'll do this for you. And that like I'll help you with your website. That's how I've been able to get so far, is like, I'll help you with your website if in exchange for you to do this for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's been super, super helpful. So like having those sort of skills and like knowing other people's skills and working off of each other, like that's what community is about.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I did want to ask you, because you told us about yourself, you told us about the magazine. How does Swan create Undrbelly? Like, what is the story of that?
And what is your why?
Okay, so to be honest, the magazine kind of came from so many failed ventures of creative or food things that I've had, like food blogs or food YouTube, and then like communicating that with the people around me and then telling me kind of like the same thing, like, oh, I wanted to do this food blog, or I wanted to paint this, or I wanted this poem, but they didn't really have like a place to put it in, or they would try, but it was so hard to get followers or anyone to see it, so it would just kind of like fizzle off. So like speaking to a lot of people and everyone conveying the same sort of thing, I'm like, like it'd be cool if we just had like a canvas and like we can just do it. And like I had just got rejected from an interview for a food blog, and like that for me, like I had gotten so far in the interview process and it was so frustrating because I was like, I wanted it so bad that I was like, you know what, this is just enough fuel for me to just do my own thing and do it how I want to do it. That's why I've talked so much about it being alternative, because I'm like, I don't want any kind of like restrictions. I want to be able to do whatever the heck I want. And for anyone as well, like just whatever you feel, whatever comes to you, and we can put it on a blank canvas, let's do it. Even then, I also have a YouTube channel as well. So like if we want to move it to media, like that sort of thing, we can do it as well. I have a Spotify where I have like different chefs who like, what do you listen to when you're cooking? Like, give me your playlist, you know, so that you can kind of like be in the moment with them. Maybe you're cooking and you can like play something. So it's like my failed ideas and everyone else's failed ideas. And we're like, you know what, let's put it into one place and it'll look really cool, all of us together. Like, so, like, look at us. We're doing it. We're really doing it.
That's a really funny description, but it's like really incredible.
And it's really effective too, because you're building something together.
Exactly. It's a support system that doesn't make you feel alone. Like, it kind of sucks when you're like put so much effort into something and then it only gets 3 likes, and then you kind of like value yourself to those sort of likes or value yourself to those followers, when it's not true. Your quality does not. It's not the same. It's not correlated to like how many followers or likes you have. But it's hard to get out there if you don't have that. Like the algorithm just not going to work on your favor. And especially if you're not going to post pictures of like your body or something like that, because that's always what goes into the algorithm first. That's why people post like their bodies before they put like a flyer. I don't know if you've noticed that, like on a slideshow, they'll do like the face shot or something like that, and then they'll post their flyer because the algorithm won't post if it's just a flyer. Like it's like a whole shit show the algorithm stuff.
Idea.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
weird. That's kind of
crazy.
creepy.
That's what I'm
kinda
saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like
of Zuckerberg,
slightly
like-
predatory too. I'm like, okay, like I just want to post my flyer. Like sometimes you do a slideshow of like landscapes and it'll just like not get as many likes as like a full body pic, you know? So like having a magazine like that, like really puts your stuff into a better place for people to see it and like respect it despite a shitty algorithm.
And I think that's really cool what you were saying before about kind of like the difference between moving individually and moving as a community, and how like that unity makes it like feels so much more valid, and it feels like it has so much more impact. And I feel like, you know, you came out with this project pretty recently. I don't know how long you've been working on it, but at least like since we've been aware of it, it's been pretty recent, and already it's making like a huge impact.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, that end of thought. Yeah.
Well, actually, to answer your curiosity, it began in January is when I had first started of this year. And then I released it this month, the first edition. So I have like 2 editions like ready to go. So I'm like 1 edition ahead.
Good.
So like this next one will come out in November, and like every 3 months it'll keep coming out. But then in between, I'd like to start doing like events. In my first edition, I highlight community fridges, and I would like an event to be like,
Cool.
Let's fill a community fridge together. You know what I mean? Like, so it's things that are beyond the magazine. The magazine is like a way to capture people who are interested in food culture, and then I can like, you know, like engage them to like, oh, let's, you know, do something impactful when it comes to food deserts here in Miami, which is another passion of mine, is like uncovering that. How can I help that? How can I bring light to that? Food insecurity and stuff like that. So just different events, different videos. You know, I wanted to, like, the magazine is definitely the main thing, but I wanted to go beyond that as well.
Right.
That's great, because you're building community, and then now you're able to mobilize that community
Exactly.
for good.
And what do you think about the food scene overall? Yeah.
My mic?
Thank you, love. No, you're fine. Yes. Production assistant Nick, everybody. So my question for you is, I don't know how much experience you have with other food scenes in different cities, but what is your opinion of the food scene here in Miami? Because I feel like not a lot of people really think about going to Miami for the food specifically. But I think a lot of residents here, not everybody, but a lot of residents here do see the value of like the sort of variety and the richness of the food, of the cuisine that you can find out here.
I mean, when people think of Miami, what's the first food people think about? Cuban sandwiches, la colada, la croqueta. But Cubans aren't the only culture that are here in Miami. So I think that's what's the most important thing to think about, is that we have a lot of neighborhoods in Miami right now that are being super gentrified, being super pushed out, to have these like Brickell-esque sort of like club restaurants sort of vibe, you know, which is kind of shitty. So it's like, I'm trying to really put a fire up everyone's ass. I don't know if I can curse, but
You can.
okay.
I think it's funny that like people
like,
always think that we can't curse here. It's okay.
I'm like, can I? I don't know if it'll be bleeped. No, it's live. But yeah, like trying to like take advantage of us being able to appreciate those sort of restaurants before they're pushed out, because a lot of like those sort of homegrown sort of restaurants are being pushed out. So I think cities like New York or California will highlight like the hole in the wall places, and like highlight them also in different ways, more creative ways. Like I do see a lot of like graphic designers making like obscure little like flyers for them, or like even like, oh, this person has been, you know, working at this place for 50 years and like they want to retire, and like it's little ice cream shop, and like just that little reel line out the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like I want to like find these places that have been here for a while, or even places that are like newer, but they're just like, you know, locals. They're like trying their hardest. They're even more so if they're highlighting a culture that's not Cuban or not a club restaurant.
A club restaurant. I've never heard that
No,
term
club
before.
restaurant. Well, club restaurant is a restaurant that's like a club,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a lot of loud music. It's really dark. The food's very expensive. It's shitty. The cocktail program is probably good, but it's like one of those places. So But yeah, so I think highlighting Miami food culture in that sort of way is really important to me because I want to try to preserve it as much as we can before it gets, you know, either engulfed in water or pushed into gentrification.
Very true. Yeah, very true. I know that you kind of like already answered this question, but it just occurred to me that it would be like good to ask this question because maybe somebody would come to you and say something like, you know, what is the difference between what you do and sort of like the foodie blogs that you see on Instagram Reels, like the food influencers that just go around and they like, you know, show a little bit about like how the food is made, and then they just like show videos of them eating it. Like,
I think it's a little bit overdone. I do appreciate that sort of content, and I do support that as a way of living. I think it's really cool, and it is something that I had wanted for a bit as well. But then I started thinking, I'm like, the amount of, like, you see that one person, then you see like 50 plates of food. I'm like, there's no way that they're eating all of that. Like, what are they doing with all this extra food, you know? And I'm like, is it going to waste? Like, who's eating it? Like, what's going on? Like, a lot of those questions kind of made me feel a little bit guilty about like supporting that. But you know, that's what I mean. Like, I just feel like it's just so repetitive. Like, they go to the restaurant, they eat, they leave, and that's it. And I'm like, I'm kind of like left wanting more. Like, I want to know again, like, who's cooking it? Like, you know, what's the cultural significance of this plate? Like, what does it mean to the, you know what I mean? Like, just so many questions start popping up, and I'm like, I want to see other kinds of content, even if it's the influencer cooking something. You know what I mean? Like, I do see certain, like, for example, Fat Girl Hedonist, who she started off doing these sort of blogs where she's reviewing food, but she also has like a blog where she has recipes like from her own culture, and I'm like, that's cool, like having that sort of balance. But I think sometimes food influencers can be like really, really excessive, and they also highlight the same sort of spots too. It's like the same sort of restaurants. So I'm seeing the same restaurants, I'm seeing the same food. I'm like, okay, I'm like really bored, you know? And everyone ordering the same sort of things. I'm like, okay, like I'm tired of seeing the Nutella French toast. Like I'm tired of seeing the tartars. Like, give me something new, please. So that's what I'm trying to like showcase as well. It's like, we're not just this.
Yeah. Something that you mentioned in the magazine that I really loved was the idea of like third spaces and food as a catalyst for change.
Love that.
Yes. Because I feel like, you know, we're in a day and age where it's really difficult for people to talk to one another. Yeah. And it's really difficult to see eye to eye on a lot of things. But one thing is for sure, we all eat. We eat every single day,
hungry.
3 times a day.
At least.
Hopefully.
Y'all should be eating every day.
Please.
Yeah. So I just wanted to hear, like, if you had any thoughts on, like, what the, you know, to step away from, like, the food bloggers and just, like, regurgitating this content, like, what could be what we do with food? Like, how can food really change the dynamic or be really a catalyst for change?
I think it's just allowing your curiosity to like, come to you. Like, allow it to come to you. Like, if you're curious, like, how do you make this? Or where did this come from? Or what cultural influences does this have? Like, how do you make it? Like, anything that is beyond just like eating it. And even if you are eating it, like, kind of describing a little bit more than just being like, it's so good. You know what I mean? Like, describing the flavors, the textures, the balance, like, what does it need? Like, critiquing it, like having like a kind of like a fuller sort of conversation. But all of that falls into being present. I mean, how many times do you go to a restaurant and everyone's on their phone? Maybe you yourself have even gone with someone and they're like on their phone. It's like, you know, we're here, we're present. Like, if you're not present, you're not going to be able to enjoy the food on another level than just being like, it's good, you know? So that's something.
That's really interesting. Because in my mind, it kind of ties back to, I think, the overall culture that we see a lot here in the United States, that it's a culture of consumption. Yeah. And kind of what you're doing is saying, like, hey, hold on.
Slow down.
Let's think about what we're consuming.
Yeah.
Like, let's get behind just the product. And I think that in of itself is definitely a catalyst.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation, Swan. I can't wait to see more of Undrbelly and the events that you are going to be putting together and just everything that you have going on. So make sure to follow Swan Eye on Instagram, Undrbelly on Instagram, and get yourself a copy when the current one and when the next one comes out.
Yeah, yes. Get every copy.
Yes. So
and look out for those events.
And look out.
Yeah. Yes.
For
definitely
those
want to go to those
out.
events.
I'll let you know.
All right. Well, we'll have you on for the other segment.
Yes, so
Perfect.
Now we're going to invite over Sefania.
Sefania
Of Maroon Isles Production. Yes. Welcome.
Hello, my love. Welcome.
Hello. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Looks spiffy.
Oh, thank you.
Looking
I
good.
decided if I'm going to be immortalized on the internet, I have to put on a good shirt. So,
Yeah.
Good shirt.
No, at the very least.
At the very least.
Yeah, like Gladys and I are always thinking about our podcast outfits. We're
It's
like,
true, it's true.
we need to go thrifting because, you know, the looks are stale.
It's a good excuse. But yeah. All right. First question. Who is Sefania? And also, what is Maroon Isles Production?
Oh, those are two questions. Okay.
Okay.
The first question. My name is Sefania Richard Gallen. I am the third of 4 children. I was born in Miami-Dade, Florida. But when I was like 8 years old, I had to move back to my parents' country of origin, Suriname in South America. I grew up there, and I came back to Miami for my studies in theater. Since then,
When did you move back? I'm sorry to cut you off.
I moved back in 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I moved back in 2016. So I think I've been living here, how many years is that? Like 7? Is that 7 years?
Wow.
Almost 7 years now. It's been a very exciting journey. I had to relearn American customs. I had to like relearn how to speak English because when I moved back here, everybody was speaking this kind of like slang. Like I didn't know what a whip was. I didn't know. Y'all laughing, but I was like so good. I remember like I used to work at Panera Bread, right? And I remember I was out of work and I was listening to 2 of my coworkers talk and they were using like, I guess, Miami slang. And I didn't understand a single word they were saying. Not a single word. And I looked up to this person across the table. I'm like, are they speaking English? And they just looked at me like I grew a third head or something. So it's been a journey since I moved back to Miami.
That's so funny. The irregardless, the pero likes.
Like I didn't speak Spanish. We don't speak Spanish in my country. So I'm like, all this Spanish. I'm like, oh, it was like a little bit of a culture shock.
Yeah.
Where once I got used to the culture of Miami, it just turned out to be more familiar. Just literally speaking a different language, but the same intonations, the same and relationships, they still exist. It's just learning how they translate into America. So.
That's really interesting. That's a really cool perspective. And then I know, like you said that you were coming here to study theater, and what was that like?
Oh, that was a journey. They have a very hard time with international students, any program, because they charge out-of-state students like 3 times the tuition of an in-state student.
Wow.
And then if you're international, they charge you even more. I was lucky enough that I was born a U.S. citizen, but because I hadn't been living here for a couple of years, I don't have a U.S. degree, they want to charge me out-of-state fees, which is, again, 3 times as much. And if you come here without your parents just to study just to study theater, right, doesn't have a lot of grants and scholarship opportunities, then I had to like get a job, I had to work, I had to get promoted. It's like a whole thing. I even wrote like a mini play about it, like the experience of just working in the restaurant industry, trying to support yourself, help out your family, and trying to make it like in the world.
Right.
But eventually, I was blessed enough to go to Miami-Dade North Campus for about 2 years. I met wonderful professors that set me on the right track. And my theater professor, who was an alumni of New World School of the Arts, sent me to New World School of the Arts. He actually sent me to the theater conference, the South Florida Theater Conference, where I got invited back to audition for New World, which I did. And then I got in on a scholarship.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was one of the best 3 years of my life in college. And I recently graduated last spring.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was tough. The Zoom year.
No, I lived that too.
The Zoom year, I was about to quit. But I'm like, if I quit now, when will I go back to school? And I'm only getting older, right? Like all you do in life is age.
That must have been so hard, like theater over Zoom.
You know
like
what?
An extra layer.
No, I have like very specific like experience in this, because I feel like arts majors like during that time was so weird, because I studied visual arts and my last year was also over Zoom, and it was just so strange.
So strange.
Because
how do you act to someone who has like a 2 to 5 second delay? I remember I got a note from my dean at the time, and she was like, Sefania, it seems like you're pausing before you react. And I'm like, I'm reacting as soon as my my Zoom tells me they're done speaking, and my professor's like, you need to anticipate them speaking. I'm like, no one ever does that. You don't do that in the real acting world. You hear what they say, and then you say something back, and it's like live, because acting is just imitation of life. But you haven't want me to imitate life with this machine that is a little bit too old to be having all these hardware processes and video. Like, it's not clean, the sound isn't good, it asked me to buy lights. It was all, oh my God. I do not miss that year.
No.
The silence was nice because theater kids could be loud, and it allowed me to focus on the textual, like the actual textbook work of everything. But that communication, that getting up on your feet and working with people, yeah, we really kind of suffered because of that.
Yeah.
But I persevered, I graduated, and I started my own company. So hey, anything is possible as long as you have determination, right?
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
And just quick question for you, because like since you were talking about how like everything that you had gone through because you were so interested in making this dream of being involved in the theater industry alive, what drew you to theater in the first place?
I'm sorry, I laugh because like the story is funny to me. I don't know, maybe it's funny to you. I was 13 years old. Like, 13-year-old kids, they have insecurities, they have fears, they have doubts, they get bullied. Everybody and their mother's been bullied at this point. But I was in a point in my life where I'm like, you know what, maybe it would be better if I don't exist. I am having non-existence thoughts. So I'm like, but one day my mom was watching Medea. Yeah.
Okay.
Medea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was the movie, I think it was The Diary of a Mad Black Woman, where Medea is telling her, I don't know what the words are exactly. I just remember the impact. But it was along the lines of like, you can't let these people beat you. If you let these people beat you, then you will lose your life that you have and everything that you can work for and aspire to. None of those things will exist. And I sat there and I'm like, one day I will wake up and I'll be in a position where I want to be. I'll be living the life that I want to have, and I'll be talking to people I want to be around. Like when you're young, a lot of the decisions in your life aren't made by you. They're made by your parents. They're made by authority figures. They're made by teachers. They're made by uncles. They're made by grandparents. But I just told myself at that young age, because I was inspired by this movie of a black man, 6'2", 6'3", in a big old wig, wearing drag, which is not being banned in Florida, wearing drag, that life is worth living. I want to be able to inspire people with my art to do the same thing. So ever since I was 13 years old, I've been pursuing like acting and theater and just the arts in general because of the impact it had in my life.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I think it's still cringe. It's cringy.
What cringe? No, I loved it. Like, that's incredible that, a piece of art, like, even though it's not like very well known for its profundity, like it was exactly the message that you needed to hear.
Yes.
How it just like catapulted you on this complete other journey, like a complete other path in your life. That's really, really cool.
And how we don't know like how much of an impact our art and the things that we create will have. Like we can't really speculate,
No, you can't. You can't really like ever assess the magnitude that art has on a culture, and that's the beautiful thing about culture. So, like, you asked me earlier why I started Maroon Isle Productions. Maroon Isle LLC has two parts: the production side and the art side. All of it is to encapsulate the experience of my ancestors, the Maroon people. If you don't know, the Maroon people are Africans, groups of Africans in the Caribbean and South America who decided slavery wasn't for them. They're going to war against the colonialists that enslaved them, and they won. And they won some of their freedoms back and were able to live in peace in their distinct regions. There's like three. They're the Haitian Maroons, they're the Jamaican Maroons, and the Surinamese Maroons. And I'm descended from the Surinamese Maroons. So my grandmother never went to school. She didn't know how to read and write because she was living outside of the city, like the industrial civilized world. But it was my parents who were able to like go to school, and my parents brought me to the United States. So Maroon Isles, in a sense, is that island, that happy, this promised land, this place where our culture can live and exist, and these people can be free and to tell their stories here, along with anybody who's ever gone through those experiences themselves. So yeah, I've started with writing my own stories for Maroon Isles Productions. You recently saw Jealousy. I had a lot of fun doing that, but that also balanced what I want to bring to my table as an immigrant and what also exists here in Miami. So the production side is not only to like bring forward our culture into like the world, into not saying the mainstream, but to be known and not forgotten, but also to invite people so we can start telling our stories together. So yeah, Jealousy. I'm talking about Jealousy. It's the only production I've done so far, but a lot of the fun I had with it was adapting this 17th century play written by this French European for the kings and monarchs and aristocrats of the day in order to get fed. And I'm like, okay, he made his living serving the elites. I can make my living serving the people. So I took one of his 15-minute short plays and I turned it into like almost 2-hour-long experience featuring local actors, featuring stories influenced by their own stories and the stories about people here in Miami. Who here hasn't been afraid that their lover has been cheating on them? Who hasn't had cultural differences with a partner if they're from a different race or a different country? You guys might both be Latino, but if one's from Cuba and one's from Puerto Rico, something's gonna be different. You're gonna have your issues, and it was going through the different kinds of relationship issues we can have here in Miami, but also understanding ultimately that what resolves the piece is communication, clear, open communication about one's wants, one's needs, one's insecurities, so that we can go on this journey of life together.
That's so funny because that was the resolution of your play. That was how like everything kind of like resolved itself at the end once like they were able to communicate what it was that was actually bothering them.
Right. But how often in our own personal lives do we have a whole bunch of unresolved trauma, unresolved issues, like holding resentment, and you're not allowed, you're never able to get that closure from someone because they refuse to communicate with you. Like maybe you might be open yourself to that opening that door, but they refuse to do it. And you know, the savage culture, like it has its place, but if you want lasting relationships and build a community, communication and comprehension, you know, because you have to understand each other too. I can't be shouting at you because shouting is communication, right? But are you going to understand what I'm saying to you if I'm shouting at you? Yeah. If I'm screaming, if I'm throwing things, like if I'm having an emotional outburst, however justified,
which also happened at Jealousy.
Yeah, we made it real.
Yeah.
I told the actors specifically not to think of the show as a comedy, because once you think of a show as a comedy, then you're going to be doing these things to make people laugh. But what's funny about these situations is how absurd they are when they're happening as they're happening. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure if you took 2 steps back from the argument you're having about hair on the bar of soap, you would see how ridiculous your arguing is about hair being on the bar of soap. But like, it's so important for people to have their voices heard and to be understood. Right. So it makes sense why these arguments happen. We just have to get better as people navigating them.
I'm going to ask you this question because we're going to run out of time and I want you to be able to talk about this.
Okay.
So your next production coming up.
Oh, yes.
It's really interesting. You've already explained to me a little bit about the synopsis, and you have a Kickstarter for it so that people can you know,
support
and make this happen.
Yes. This art exists for the community. I bring like storytellers, playwrights, lyricists, songwriters. We all make things for people to enjoy. And part of my journey as a playwright is to preserve the culture of the Maroon people, to reflect the world and its problems to the people that they live and inhabit it, and to have fun. And Jealousy was all those 3 things. Oscunero, even more so. It is, at the moment, my magnum opus. I will say that. I put the most amount of effort into it. It is the story about 4 African children who get thrust into slavery, and the choices and decisions that they had to make because they were thrust into slavery. It's supposed to mirror the experience of everyone of the African diaspora who has been traumatized by the kidnapping that happened in Africa hundreds of years ago, and that cultural reset that had to happen. Part of the greatest tragedy of the slave trade has been the cultural genocide. And a lot of people like to downplay that. But I like to put into like the Western world's terms, if we burn the Notre Dame. When the Notre Dame burned down, the entire world cried. If the Mona Lisa gets stolen and destroyed, people will turn and cry. If the Roman Colosseums, the little Colosseums over there in Rome, if they fall down tomorrow, people will feel a loss of history. Now imagine doing that to an entire people you've taken from their homes, taken from their continent, taken from their villages, and brought them to this side of the world. I am blessed enough to be born into a tribe, a culture of people who've managed to retain a lot of their cultures and traditions throughout the generations and haven't had that erased. And Oskuneru talks about their experiences, talks about their journeys, talks about their struggles, where they had to even fight against their own brothers and sisters to cement their freedom. And it's a crazy scenario when you think about it. It's someone coming in the middle of the night, taking you from your home and making you plant sugarcane, like, for money, and they don't even know your name. They don't even care to know your name. You're just numbers and your profit and your margins, and it's just all capitalism. At the end of the day, I want to cut it and shape it in a different form, so we understand not from, oh, slavery was bad. I'm like, no, these are people. We are people. Everyone are people. And if we don't understand that African stories are human stories, the Indonesian stories are human stories, the Latino stories are human stories, and we're just telling stories about the human experience and how we as humans have wronged each other and we must make these wrongs right, then we're at a severe disadvantage. So if you want to support this project and hear more stories like this, then jump on my Kickstarter. It's in my bio. I believe I'm like linked on their page. So any support, if you cannot physically donate any amount, then just share it. Talk about it. The way things die is that we don't talk about them anymore. The way we lose lessons is by not talking about our shared history and the shared lessons that we have and what we expect and hope for the future. A great power that storytellers have is that you're able to present a future where we may live. Right now I'm focused on the past with Oskuneru and some other projects, but in Jealousy, I have that lesson there too. Like, what will our future be if we just communicate and understand? What will our future be if we actually look back and remember? What will our future be if we as a culture and a society actively choose to be better and don't fight against all the advancements that we've made in the past 60 years, 100 years, 300 years as a society?
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And it makes me really, really want to see this play.
I'm so excited about it. And we're actually going to be seeing like a short clip of it, but a short part of it on September 24th, El Igor y sus panas. Sefania will be performing a bit of Oskuneru there, so that would be a really great way to catch a sneak peek of this incredible production. Yeah,
we're going to be doing the first scene of the play, where it introduces two titular characters. It starts very funny. We like to see relationships in family because that's how we connect, right? You're going to come see the two villagers of Ensuo Efi, Akosua and Saida, and Akosua is lacking on his chores. Let's see how Saida gets him to get back to work.
Oh, that's so exciting. But we must move on. If you want to see more of Sefania's work, it's
Zeph Void,
yes. And then Maroon Isles Production
on Instagram.
But don't go anywhere because we have one more segment for you. So we're going to ask Swan of Undrbelly back for our new segment,
Hay comida en casa.
Yes, where we talk about the food that we've been eating lately that we love and we can't stop thinking about.
Have you ever had when you're growing up here in Miami and you're like, oh, I wanna go to McDonald's, I wanna go to Burger King, whatever, and then you get the response hay comida en casa. Yeah. It's kind of that idea where forget the chains. No, there's here really great food in South Florida, from local restaurants. So hay comida en casa. First, definitely we want to ask Juane because expert. So
sounds about right. So your question is what places I like to go to locally recently?
What are your recs? Tell us.
Okay, so one of my favorite restaurants in Miami is called Kung Chao, which is a dim sum restaurant on Bird. I recently tried, I usually only stick to the dim sum menu, but recently I went off it and I ordered Mongolian beef. And it was like the best Mongolian beef I've ever had in my life. Like the steak was so tender, had like good veggies, a good balance of like savory, a little bit sweet with like their white rice. It was phenomenal. But also a new spot that I really like is called Tam Tam. Which is in downtown. And actually the person who wrote the Third Places article that you mentioned earlier, he works at Tam Tam. He's one of the chefs there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I had their like special. It was like a duck curry with like some noodles, and it was like, I don't really eat spicy food. Cubans don't believe in spicy food. Like my mom will put a little bit of black pepper in something. She's like, está picante, and it's like, it's just black pepper. So I was really like sweating. I was going through it eating it, but it was super worth it. So I would say those two places.
And Tam Tam like just opened a physical location, I think, right?
Right in front of the courthouse.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good view.
That's cool.
I guess.
That's cool. It's Thai food, right?
It's Vietnamese.
Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to try it out.
Yeah. Like you won't find like a banh mi on their menu. Like they're really like traditional sort of dishes that you might not have seen anywhere else. So, and they do their own spin. They get a lot of like fresh produce. I'm a huge fan. They have karaoke in the bathroom.
What?
Yeah, they have karaoke. Karaoke is like a big like part of Vietnamese like culture. So like they have right before the bathroom, they have a huge TV and you can like do karaoke there.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
But in
like
front
you
of
open the bathroom and there's like a huge TV and then like the toilet's right there.
Right. I mean,
something if you want to do.
You know, why not?
That's
great.
a good way to pass time. Do a little karaoke.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
What's taking up so long? Karaoke.
I love karaoke though. But yeah, those two places I recommend, Kang Chao and Tam Tam.
That's so funny. I literally just came from dim sum because I was meeting with my dad. Cause he just came back from Las Vegas, and my family was at a dim sum restaurant, tropical
Chinese.
Chinese.
Don't open that
Bird
book
Road.
right now. There's like a huge rivalry in Miami of tropical Chinese versus Kang Chao.
No way.
Yeah, I'm team Kang Chao all the way. I'm not team
Oh my
tropical
God.
Chinese.
No, you got to go to
Tropical
Swan
Chinese is good.
to the tea.
It's
for the
good.
tea,
Tropical
obviously.
Chinese is good, but for me, Kang Chao, they have like these green tea duck dumplings that like I'm like loyal to. I love Kang Chao, and I also like that they like make everything fresh. Like, because in tropical Chinese, it's a little cart, right? When you went, was it like that? The little cart?
No.
Oh, okay.
I only stayed for like one course because I had the podcast, but
Oh, they're both good, but I'm definitely team Kang Chao. It's like a huge like debate here. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of mine because I mean I just had the chicken dumplings. They were good, fresh in my mind. Also, Sufrat is another one that's on Pines Boulevard, and it's so good. It's so good. It's like very accessible, very like it doesn't take that so much time to prepare, but just like absolutely mouthwatering and delicious. And then parody, of course, like you can't really go wrong with parody.
Love parody. Good third place.
Yeah,
it's a good a place where people can like communicate and like they do a lot of really cool events. Great food. Now they're not doing pizza though.
Yeah.
Do you see about that?
No pizza.
No more pizza.
No more pizza. But their full menu is on the entire day. So that's how
they're doing different things, which is cool. They're venturing out.
Yeah,
but I will
they're
miss their
seeing
pizza.
what works for them, but cry.
Yeah.
They said they'd bring it back at some special
I'll be on the
events.
lookout.
So yeah.
All right.
What about you, Sefania?
I'm not food magazine expert like Swan over here. So I'm gonna have one place I'm gonna mention. I'm gonna mention Thank You Miami.
Cute.
Thank You Miami is amazing.
Yeah.
Alex, who runs it, is he used to run a food truck, but now he opened his restaurant location. It's been open for like a year and a half now. I think this December is gonna make 2 years. He has the PB and jelly burger. That I always get it with the sweet potato fries.
Ooh, yum.
And it's his original recipe. It is to die for. I love it. I get it every single time.
Their food truck was peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, peanut butter. Yeah, it was peanut butter and jelly. Then he
Yeah.
transitioned. He sold it. I believe he sold his food truck and he
Yeah.
opened his business. He said it was terrified to do it, but like, if I know you've been there. He hosts events. He does tons of
He
things.
does.
He has
Yeah,
karaoke
open
night,
mics.
which
Open
I host.
mics.
I'm a karaoke DJ. If you didn't know, with karaoke.
What?
Karaoke. Yeah, I do that every Wednesday. We're about to move to Thursdays. There's also comedy nights. It's Mondays and Fridays. He does special events on Saturdays. I believe tonight he's having a live band in the space. Cool. And we're gonna sing. And he also does immersive dinner theater experiences, courtesy of me. If you go to his bathroom, this
Oh,
bathroom.
another cool bathroom.
Another cool
love
bathroom.
bathroom. That's
If you go into
true.
his bathroom, it is covered with CDs from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Whether it's movies, your favorite comedy, action movies like Die Hard. He always has Ace Ventura playing on the TV that's in
Love
the
it.
bathroom, but the
That's
TV
so
in that
silly.
bathroom too.
It's literally a stack of DVD boxes.
Yes.
Interesting.
On top, yeah, and the TV's right there. So like, I remember when he installed it. I was in the bathroom. I just started watching the movie. I was like, and I heard somebody knock on the door. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be DJing. Let me get out. So, if you are local, if you're in Little Havana on 1701 West Flagler Street, there is Thank You Miami. And they're great. They have their own mixed cocktails. Luciano, the bartender, is great. Andres,
shout out to
who works
Luciano.
behind there, is also great. He's one of the chefs there. It's just a great place to hang and vibe. He has like Hialeah-opoly. He also has Monopoly. He also has Kendallopoly. I didn't even know they made these things, but he has them.
cool.
He also can play Jenga. Like he even has a video game where you can play like 1990s like Sega games. You can play Mario, I think.
cool.
Mario Kart. It's crazy. Like he has so many things going on there that every single time I go in for my shift, I'm just looking around.
Yeah.
I'm like, there are the bobbleheads. There's Darth Vader. There's the Hialeah-opoly. Now I'm in the bathroom staring at Ace Ventura. Like if you want a
love
good
it.
time and some great food too.
That's so funny. I really hope that he gives you a free PB&J burger for this glowing
You got your work
recommendation.
in there. DJ, karaoke, immersive theater, a little bit of. He's gonna make you cook next.
Yo, what? You'll be behind there making this PB&J burger. He's like, you liked it so much so far. Now come on, make it.
All right, babe, your turn.
One really great bar that's actually very much fun like that is 10th Level Tavern. It's in Oakland Park, and they have video games everywhere. So you can play Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. But I do want to plug, shameless plug, El Bayou de Abuela Sara in Hollywood. It's a Puerto Rican restaurant that has incredible mofongo.
Ooh.
Yeah, like so good. It's so good. Yeah.
I love
So those are my You can't go wrong with plátanos.
I was gonna say like they're so
Plátanos.
multifunctional.
Yeah.
Plátanos tostones,
Yeah,
Oof.
maduros, plantains, arepas. It can go on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Tamales, yeah.
Tamales.
I need
know,
to eat
I'm
before
yeah,
here.
we're all
I need to
gonna
go
go eat
We need to go
now.
eat something.
I'm
Dang.
starving actually.
All right. This has been Hay Comida en Casa. To submit your questions or to submit like ideas for the upcoming shows, please reach out to us at Panamia Club.
Yes.
Yes.
Dale mi gente, y con eso we conclude this live episode of PanaVizión. Join us next week to learn more.
16th.
The 16th to learn about more creatives and organizations, entrepreneurs working to change their communities.
All right. Goodbye.
Yes, bye.
Bye.
Follow us on subscribe to our YouTube. Bye.